I was going to start mounting the hinges on the gates, but we ran into a bit of a problem. Right where the screw holes are, or on the hinge, line up with the structural screw that pulls it all together, which runs right down the center of the rail. So my solution is to cut the hinge and weld the tab at a 90 degree, and then I can place this anywhere on the side of the gate. So we'll make 2 lefts and 2 rights, and we'll get these onto the gates. Well, the hinges are cut and welded and brushed. I'm thinking maybe I should sign up for some welding lessons. I'm sure they'll hold. Not the prettiest welds in the world, but maybe some black paint will cover up. So I found some silver hammered metal paint in the shop. We've got the hinges painted. Final coat, we'll let them dry and we'll put them on the gate. Okay, well, we've got the gates onto the bench again. We're going to install the hinges. So the way I've worked this out is I made the rails 3 inches on center from the top and the bottom, so maybe what I'll do is I'll work with a 4-inch number to the first bolt. That way we're clear of all the screws, and that'll probably look good. And I've got a left and right hinge. What I'll do is I'll try and mark center on the right hinge side post so that they're kind of aligned, top and bottom, maybe with a chalk line or something like that, and we'll drill the holes, find some carriage bolts, and bolt them on. So I decided on 4 inches to the first bolt, which clears the structural screw holding the rail in place. And I did a quick approximation for center of the hinge post with a chalk line measured on center. That way these are going to be lined up. At least that's my hope. And we did the same on the top, except using a left and a right hinge, so everything clears the structural screws. And now we're going to do the second gate. Okay, well, we've encountered another little problem that we have to come up with a solution for. The posts that the gates are going to hang on are 5 inches plus, in and around 5 inches, and I'm only getting 4 1/4 in between the washers here, so that won't work. So these are not available any longer in this size. If I wanted to go up a size and hinge, and then I could get them longer, but didn't want to do that because that would look unsightly and too bulky. So my solution is to come up with cut these 2-inch, half-inch rod pieces to insert in between, and remembering to put the nut and the washer on before you weld it together, because you'll never get it past the insert. Now this will all get hidden inside the post, so you won't see that, and we'll try and get it as straight as possible. Not too bad of a job on the first one. And what this gets me will get me 5 1/2 inches plus in between the washers, so that gives me a bit of room for adjustment, and hopefully that's the solution. So let's cut up the last one and we'll weld them together. All right, well, all 4 of the hinge posts are welded up and ground down a little bit. So now you can see I get about 6 inches in between the washers, which should be plenty, and a little bit of adjustment on the front and the back yet. So Mrs. from the Woods is going to paint the gates. We'll get some screen on there and bring them up to the garden. Okay, well, the gates are stained. We'll let that dry, put the hinges back on, get some animal fencing, staple it to the back, and bring it up to the garden. All right, so I've cut 2 pieces of animal fencing, oversized. We've brought 1 gate into the shop and I put the hinges back on. So we'll flip this over and staple the animal fencing to the back. Well, that's one. So what I did was I just did a double staple, and I'll tap down the cut ends just so that a sharp edge isn't protruding, and basically centered it and then just rolled it out. The staple should hold. I mean, we're not keeping a rhinoceros in or out, so I think it'll be sufficient. And if it falls off in the future, I guess we just repair it. But it looks good, and let's get on to the second one. The 2 gates are done. Quite happy with the result. Up to the garden. Well, we had a major thunderstorm roll through last night. watching the electrical storm. We had one that we knew was close by, but we couldn't see it. And this is about 300 feet or less from the house. Just exploded, this 50-foot poplar at the base. Unbelievable, the power of nature. Good thing we weren't outside, standing nearby. Good thing that it's wet all the way around here. Otherwise we could have had a forest fire. But just blew the tree apart. Unbelievable. The power of lightning. Well, after a few attempts to get the garden gates finished, they're finally done. And we brought them up to the garden area. So the first step to getting them in is we have to still remove this temporary fencing, or the remainder of the fence, and fasten it to the poles. Cut that away, we'll make the opening for the gates. Okay, well, we're ready to drill the holes for the post part of the hinge. Working on the left side first. And yeah, so what I've done is I've allowed for a 7-inch clearance off the ground, plus the 4 inches that we've drilled to the first hole on the bottom of our gate, which gives us 11 inches to the first hole. There's 64 inches in between the hinges. And I've made a second mark there. 64 inches between the marks. So we're going to drill the holes. We're going to drill a bit of an oversized hole and install the first gate and see how it goes. So now to get the hole the same height on the right-hand post. The laser level you can't see in the sunlight, so I found a straight piece of aluminum and I clamped it to the hinge and leveled it across with a level and found the mark where the hole has to go. Now I have to center it on the post, and then from that mark I can find out where the top hole goes. Okay, I was a little off on my right hand hole location, but nothing we can't adjust with the bolts. Looking pretty good. Looks like they line up vertically the same. I guess we just have to level them off horizontally. So that's just a matter of adjusting the bolts in and out as required. Tighten and loosen one side as you need it, and then after the door gates are level, we'll tighten up the bolts. Okay, well, the gates are adjusted. Turned out pretty good. The gaps are, well, they're logs after all, right? So if it was straight wood, we could be a little bit more precise, but this turned out pretty good. They swing pretty nice. And previous in the video I mentioned that the little welded insert of the bolt would be hidden by the post, so there we are. Yeah, so we're going to come up with an idea for a gate latch. A bungee cord will do for the time being. But Yeah, last little bit to do on the gate opening is to take care of the top part. We have a special log we're going to put up there, but that's going to be subject for a different video. But as always, we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel and like and share. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video coming soon.